If you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll notice I'm animated when I talk. I move my hands all the time. You can watch any of my take speeches, I move my hands. If you watch me on Twitter or Instagram, I move my hands when I talk. I'm always moving my hands when I talk. And this is a habit I've learned. And I've learned to do this. And the reason I learned to do this is I didn't think it was that interesting a story, but I told someone once and they found it was interesting. When I was young, I used to go to chess tournaments with my father. My father was one of the best chess players in the world. And a lot of the chess players were ex-KGB. And because they're Russians, and they're ex-KGB, and they now live in wherever, all over the world, and they're all chess players. So I hung around with a whole bunch of autistic nerds, my father, who was completely crazy and the best man alive, and KGB agents in one room. So it's a bit of an interesting scenario. And we were sitting, and I was sitting with my father, who spoke fluent Russian. My father spoke Russian fluently. He learned Russian in the Air Force. He was a linguist for the Air Force. In fact, he was intelligence. He worked for the CIA. Long story. Anyway, my father and about 3 Russians were sitting around talking in fluent Russian. And the Russians are very well known for being very stoic. They don't talk very much. They're very hard people, especially the KGB guys, right? But the KGB guy told a story, and he was telling my father, saying that Russians in general aren't very animated when they speak. They sit still, they say yes, they say no, yes, blah, blah, blah. They're very, very calm. They don't like to talk too much. However, he was told that many Russians are trying to learn American mannerisms, and they're trying to learn to be more animated with their speech, and that many young people in the KGB, many Russians were learning to move their hands a lot more as they speak. And obviously I didn't understand the conversation. My dad told me this afterwards. And I said to my dad, oh, is that so they can fit in better with Americans? He said, no, it's not so they can fit in. They like the idea of being animated, and this is an advantage, a tactical advantage I identified. If you're constantly animated, your moving doesn't scare people. So if I'm still and I decide to pull my weapon, you're going to notice. But if I'm always animated all the time, if I'm always moving every time I talk, you're not even going to fucking notice by the time I pull my gun. So they're saying the KGB agents, the younger ones, are learning to be more animated so they can attack you easier, and you're less likely to reply or respond. This is really interesting. I was told this at a young age. So I notice now, even now, if I'm in a room full of people and I'm constantly moving my hands, not that I'm a violent man, but especially if I'm in a room full of people I don't know, or if I'm in a bad situation, and if you watch these channels, you know I've been in a lot of bad situations. I always speak like this. And I speak like this because I'm always a step closer to smashing someone in the face than they anticipate. When they first, you'll notice, because humans identify these things. When I'm first in a room with 2 other men, and I'm moving my hands, at first they're a bit like, it's uneasy when a man's moving his hands. It's unusual, and they don't like it. But after 3 or 4 minutes, they're used to it. That's just how this crazy American talks. That's just how the American talks. He just likes to move his hands around. But now it's something I've learned, because being animated makes you more capable of assassination.